Let's review the information on file management. We have covered what files are, what folders are, what a file extension is, what file extensions consist of, how to create a folder, how to locate a file within a folder, how to open a file on your computer and on Canvas, how to save a file to a specific location, where Windows will automatically save your files to, how often you should save a file, how to rename a file, how to edit a file, what exactly Windows Explorer is, what a backup is, how to upload a file to Canvas, how to submit a file to Canvas, and what the difference between download and upload is, as well as all the information about file addresses. Let's review this information one more time. Remember that when you log into Canvas, you have to complete each page in order. You cannot move on to the next item until you have completed the previous item. You will know that you've completed it by a green check mark. You cannot move on until you submit your assignments. First of all, what is a folder? A folder is an organization tool that's used to store files on your computer. You should have created a folder on your desktop that has your name. Remember that when you open Windows Explorer, this is Windows Explorer. We know and can access Windows Explorer by clicking on the folder that is in your taskbar. So those of you that said a Windows Explorer icon was a big blue E, nope. That would be Internet Explorer, which is a web browser. Windows Explorer is that little folder. In order to get to your desktop, you click Desktop. Then to get to your folder, you would double click on your name. And in that folder, you should have two files, one named eZine, one named Travel. You should have a document named File Basics-GCF Learn Free-Your Name. And you should have a file named Files and Folders Information that you highlighted. You notice that we have the two subfolders within your folder. A subfolder is another folder that's inside a folder. A file, such as Files and Folders Information, is a collection of data that's stored together in one unit and identified by file name. A file extension, or it's simply called an extension, is the suffix at the end of a file name that indicates what type of file it is. This type of file is a Microsoft Word document. We would know that were we to open it by the file extension, which is always preceded by a period and usually 3 to 4 letters. .doc, which is a Microsoft Word document from 1997 to 2003, or .docx, which is a Microsoft Word document from 2010 to 2007 to 2013. We would know what a graphic file is by its extension. Some examples of graphic files have file extensions of .jpg, .gif, and .bmp. A .jpg file is called a JPEG file. .gif is called a GIF file. And .bmp is called a bitmap file. These are opened and created usually with different types of software. Then we have a PDF file, or a .pdf file, which is an Adobe Acrobat file. How do we open a file? To open a file, you would double click on that document. Then if you're opening it from Canvas, you would click on the document, then click Open. Then you would click Enable Editing. For instance, if you opened one of the lecture documents, you would click on the document. You would have an icon pop up or a little bar at the bottom of the screen pop up. You click Open. It will open it for you, and then in order for you to save or do anything with it, you would click Enable Editing. Now, of course, you don't have to save those documents unless you want to. They are there strictly for when you're absent or should you need a reminder or refresher for something. We've also learned how to edit our document. So in order to edit the document, particularly if you want it to look a certain way, and I do, you would double click in order to select an item. In this case, when you've put in the answers, I've asked that you change your font color to red. If the little a is already red, or the color underneath the a is already red, then you can just click on it then and it changes it to red. If it's not red, if it's still black, you would click the drop down arrow and select one of the red colors. Then when an item's already selected, you do not have to hit backspace or delete. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't hit backspace, delete, or enter. You should just start typing. If you make a mistake, you can always hit the Undo button in the Quick Access toolbar. Undo allows you to undo something. Redo allows you to redo it. We've also learned how to save a document or a file. In order to save a document, you click File, Save As. You select the location that you want to have your document saved. You may have to scroll up. Remember, for our purposes, initially when you're saving your documents, you're always going to click on Desktop. You double click on the folder with your name. I already have this document saved, so if I clicked File, Save As, and I click Save again, it's going to ask me, do you want to replace the existing file? Be careful when you select this and when you don't. Remember that when you click File, Save As, you select your desktop or your document, your folder, and then you select your file. If I've asked you to, you change the name. Most of the time you will be changing the name, so make sure you click in that File Name box. You click once to select the whole name, and if I were going to do that, then I could just start typing. Notice how it's blue? That means it's selected, so I could just start typing. And I would type a new name here. Okay, if I did not want to change the name of that document, then I would click twice. Notice how when I click once, it's blue and selected, but if I click twice, then it's not selected anymore, and I can just add to the name. Then you would click Save in order to save your document again. Now, once you've saved it initially, all you have to do is click the Save button in the top left-hand corner. If you click the blue floppy before you do File, Save As, and select your desktop, it will automatically save your documents to the Documents Library. I go through this every day and I delete any documents that are in the Documents Library. So you do not want to just click that little blue floppy until after you've clicked File, Save As. You should really save your documents every 5 minutes or so, because you don't want to have to redo any work in case you make a mistake. You can always have your saved document. Now, how do we rename a file? If we wanted to rename a file, we would right-click on top of the file. Make sure if I right-click in this bright area, I'm not going to get the same menu coming up. If I right-click on top of a document or a folder, then I would be able to click Rename. Notice how it becomes blue and is selected. Once it's blue and selected, all you have to do is start typing in order to change your name. And then you enter. That's all. Now, how do we upload a file to Canvas? Remember that in Canvas you'll have something that looks a little bit different up here than I will. I'm going to leave the student view so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Once you're in your view, you will have a button at the top of Canvas that says Settings. You would click Settings, then you would come over here and click Files, then you would Add File, then you have to select your folder by double clicking on your folder, and then you have to select your document that you want to put onto Canvas. Canvas is our backup from the desktop. It's always a good idea to have a backup of your information. That's a copy of one or more files that's created as an alternative in case the original data is lost or becomes unusable. Once you select your file, you click Open, and it will automatically upload the file. So now you see I have another file. Remember that when you are submitting an assignment, you go to the Assignments, either from the Home module or from the Assignments button on the left. So you can either go to here or you can click Assignments on the left. You would click Submit Item or Submit Assignment. From Submit Assignment, you would select where you're going to submit it from. You would either do that by clicking Browse, or it's already a file on Canvas. Then you would click Submit Assignment. If I've asked you to resubmit an assignment, you need to click on Resubmit Assignment. Same steps, just resubmit it, and I will see the latest version of your file that you've submitted. Remember that downloading is when you receive data or files from the internet, and uploading is the opposite of that. You're sending data over the internet or through a system. Make sure you know the difference between the two.